What I'm focused more upon is that serving the patient and doing what's right by what I was trained to do. And then, like you had said, it just swells. Yeah, that is actually literally the story of who I am.
Right.
I mean, truthfully, and I used to say it as when I was kind of an earlier associate veterinarian, is I paid karma, you know, and I think I've said that in PAWCast before, but the idea being that even though I was a veterinarian who was paid commission or paid on production, it was never a governing principle. It was, I had a responsibility, and that responsibility was to treat the patients who were treatable and, you know, and the suffering of those who weren't. I mean, that was pretty much it. And then, you know, again, that led into, well, how can we do that effectively? Well, we have to be effective communicators. And if we are effective communicators, we have to be effective educators, you know, and all those things sort of started to come together. And that's what was that's so bizarre about kind of our story, mine and Katie's, and certainly Paw Health, is that as soon as I started doing that, I mean, my other classmates that I would have, to other relief veterinarians that I'd come across, or part-time vets that we'd have in the practice, everyone was always talking about some of those short-term goals. What's my production this pay period? What's my, you know, overall compensation structure for the year? I mean, those are things that you need to know so you can, of course, have a somewhat a standard of living. But I just never really ever paid attention to it. But somehow I was always more financially stable than anyone else I had ever talked to. And it was like, well, how are those two things connected when the last thing I'm thinking about is actually turning an invoice? And what I'm focused more upon is that serving the patient and doing what's right by what I was trained to do. And then, like you had said, it just swells. And then it's like, oh, I'm doing it, and now the practice, and now ownership, and now industry. And it's been incredibly bizarre being an outsider looking into my own life, you know, to see that.